So tell us a little bit about your character.
Well, how open can we be?
Well, without obviously not
Okay.
giving too much away. Just
So I would say this about my character. I would say that he's a little worn down from life, and I think more than anything right now, he just wants to live day to day and trying to survive in this very horrible world that is 2049, Los Angeles. But I think he just wants to be left alone. He wants to be on his farm. He wants to be left alone and live his life in peace.
now, were you obviously? I'm assuming you were familiar with the first Blade Runner. Do you remember the impact that had when it first came out?
I do, and it's one of those things it's kind of almost, I feel guilty answering that because I don't, I was younger when I saw it, and I think for a lot of different reasons. I think for one, I was, because of my age, the film just didn't resonate with me as much as it did when I was older. But I also think that Blade Runner was really ahead of its time, and I don't think a lot of people then didn't appreciate it for what it was and how beautiful it was. But it was as the years went by, because I've owned so many formats of Blade Runner, with VHS and and DVD and Blu-ray, and but I think it's really each time I watched it, I just picked up something different. But I think it's when I was older when I really appreciated the emotion and kind of the subliminal messages in Blade Runner is when I really just fell in love with it. Because I think that's when when you're older, you just think more about it. And I think also the more you fall in love with movies and films, and you have a film like this that really makes you think, is when you really get kind of invested. And they're just very deep emotional stories that require you to put a lot of thought into. It's a lot to absorb. It's very emotional.
So very true.
Yeah.
I was just going to say it's a very thought-provoking
Yeah.
film. Now, if you had to describe the story at all, again, without giving anything away, or maybe the theme of it, how would you describe it?
I would, well, the way I would describe it, and I think what I would hope that they would take away from it is just that life is precious. I think that would be the message that I would want to give to people, that this is really, that life is precious, that our planet is precious, and not to take it for granted, because it may not always be here, or it may be just ruined, and there may not be any going back. It's heartbreaking to think about.
Now, we see your character. Your character makes a very impactful. Your character is very impactful. The way that you played it was very impactful. Was there any in preparation for the character? Was there anything you focused on for that, or anything that?
Not so much. I knew the nature of the character, but it's weird because what I had in mind, what I envisioned the character to be, even as far as delivery of some of the lines, wasn't really what Denis had in mind. It was something very different, and there was, and it just really pops in my head because this is the first time I realized it. But also, throughout, even the beginning scenes where I wasn't speaking, he was very particular about the way I walked and my demeanor. He wanted this character to feel like he had just been beaten up through life, and he just had the weight of the world on his shoulders.
As far as audiences, like people that aren't familiar with the first movie, do you feel that this movie will stand alone, that they won't have to go back to the first one in order to understand this?
I think, without a doubt, this movie is a standalone film, without a doubt. And I think you don't even need to see the first one. I think you would get it. And the story is told. They're very particular, without using exposition. I think they're very smart in the way they tell this story. They can make it new and fresh. But I'm hoping that if people, haven't seen the first film, this will make them want to go back and see the first film. And the different versions of the first film. So many emotions involved in this because it's a beautiful story. At the same time, it's a terrifying insight, So it's really, it's very thought-provoking. I think that's the perfect way to put it. It just really makes you think. And this is one of those films you leave, and I left, and all I wanted to do was talk about it. This is definitely a thought-provoking film, and you want to discuss it, and then you want to go back and watch it again,